says that, like, behold, I stand calling and knocking at the door. And if you hear my voice, do not harden your hearts. He says, Jonah hardened his heart. He received the call, but he hardened his heart. And receiving the call does not mean you're walking in the call. Like, a father can tell his child, go to the road and get me something. But until you have accepted it in your heart, you have not done anything. You can receive the call. He says many people standing here have calls on their lives, but you may not see it until you decide to, as Bishop said, forget about what you have, what is possible with what you have, and just commit yourself to what he has called you to. So he was just giving me visions of men of God in the Bible. He says he doesn't let the men of God in the Bible to succeed on their own, because it will make the world think that it's by their strength. But every person he has raised in the Bible is just to show each and every one of us that behind the mantle he has called you for, if you just not harden your heart, like, he can help you. He's the only help you need. He says Joseph was useless. He was bound for nothing. But he chose Joseph because he knew if someone like Joseph could get into the palace, then there's someone sitting here who has to get to that point. And if you would trust like Joseph trusted in the Lord, you will get there. And he even now, he keeps showing me visions, and I just want each person to just like focus on God and ask, like, who is that person in the Bible that God is giving you as a vision of a clear path, that this is the path to follow. It may not be the exact destination, but that is the path to follow. And he says Moses was a murderer. And why did he choose Moses instead of everyone else? Because according to human knowledge, Moses was bound for nothing. He was already even in the wilderness, the castaway. But God called him. And he just shows me the vision of how God called Moses. He shows me Moses standing, and Moses was just walking away. And there is the fire standing where the vase is, burning. And Moses is walking. So Moses turns and looks at the fire burning there. And this is where this passage comes in. If you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. He says Moses turned and saw the fire. And many of us think it was this bright side of like, oh, the fire is burning. Everything just clicks instantly that that's God. Like, but if you read that passage, it says Moses was inquisitive. And he approached the fire to see why it was burning but not being lit. And he says as he walked towards it, that is when God called him and said, Moses, I am the one. Come by and take off your shoes. This is holy ground. But he shows me that so many of his children have seen the fire burning, but they have walked away. Whether it was because they had clear paths that they had set for themselves, that's just a distraction, like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be this, like, I've been called into ministry to do this. He says many of them have seen the fire burning, but they have not yet approached it. They are unwilling to separate themselves from the path they are taking and take a different path towards the burning bush. So I just want to encourage each one of us, like, that's just all I have to say. If you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. And don't take it as like just one more message, because I don't think we've ever stayed here after church just because of the presence of God. So I think he's really doing something new today. Thank you.